You know, emotionally, the last few days have been really tough for me. You may not know this, but yesterday my wife and I moved our daughter down to her dorm in Morgantown, which means for the first time in almost 19 years, Maggie hasn't been present with me in a real intangible way. And even though this move has affected both Debbie and I'm a lot more emotional than my wife, at least outwardly. Therefore, the last 20 hours have been particularly stressful. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm really excited about this new phase that Maggie is entering. This is an exciting time in her life, and I'm confident that she's going to do great things at WVU and beyond. Still, right now, I feel a little empty, and I feel a little sad this afternoon. But the fact that I'm sad wasn't just because my daughter is moving forward and my role in her life is changing. You see, I'm also sad as I look and think about the country that I sincerely love and that I'm passing on to her. You see, from where I stand, it seems like we've become a crude and insensitive people. I mean, somehow arrogance has become confused with confidence, and arguments have taken the place of discussions, and calling someone a nasty name is more important than making a reasonable point. A place where bullies are seen as strong men and women. That's what America has become, at least from my vantage point. And since I'm old enough to remember the way it was, in the past, I can tell you this represents a real change. And it's not one that I like at all. And I'll tell you, this hit me on a very personal level quite recently. For example, just because I don't support the re-election of the president, and I don't. In the last few days, I've been called a communist. I've been called a baby killer. I've been called a sodomite. And I've been called a few things that I found so crude, I'm uncomfortable writing them down. And I was called these names because I had the audacity either to question or to disagree with a certain statement. Now, that's what happened to me. But I don't think it's unusual. As a matter of fact, this just seems to be the kind of country I'm giving to my daughter, the kind of country we have become. Of course, I don't want to infer that this kind of behavior is limited to one end of the political spectrum. I'll tell you, for everyone who, like me, has been called un-American, there are plenty of sincere folks who want to re-elect the president who have been called Nazis and stupid and ignorant and racist. Now, I think that's sad, too. And in my opinion, what makes it even worse is that these names are directed at people the name callers don't even know and who believe things that they don't want to understand. For me, all of this is not only sad, but radically different from the very principles on which this country was founded and which made America great for almost 250 years. And I'll tell you, if it's bad now, I want you to just imagine the kind of political discourse we're going to be having in a couple of months. Man, talk about nasty, crude. The sky will be the limit. But trust me, it doesn't have to be that way. You see, I believe this can be a wake-up call for all Americans, and I'm talking particularly about American Christians who believe that their faith is more than a lot of spiritual-sounding words. Who believe that if you claim to follow Jesus Christ, you can't call a person un-American or unpatriotic, much less stupid or a racist. You see, by our decisions, we can demonstrate that people don't have to be crude and nasty when they discuss politics. As a matter of fact, as they did in the past, two individuals can actually disagree without the words communist or Nazi even being used. This is possible. And I believe we can get there by lifting up two Bible passages and applying them to our lives. And I'll tell you, these principles can be applied whether a person is a Christian or not. I mean, first, if we want to take the nasty out of our political discussions, and nastiness has no place in any kind of Christian discourse, I think we can apply these words the Apostle Paul offered to the Colossians. He wrote, God loves you and has chosen you as his own special people. So be gentle, kind, humble, meek, and patient. Put up with each other and forgive another who does you wrong, just as Christ has forgiven you. Love is more important than anything else. It is what ties everything together. Now, I generally use this passage at weddings because I definitely believe it applies to building a strong marriage. But I think it can also guide us as we offer our opinions and discuss our differences. You see, I think it's important to express what we think and believe, but we can do it in a way that's both informed and courteous. And it may all start by us making the decision to see the other person as an individual whom God loves and has chosen. They just may not know it yet. I'll tell you, if this is how we see those around us, especially those who might disagree, I believe it may help us communicate our ideas with gentleness and kindness, humility and patience. And if our ideas are rejected with either ridicule or condemnation, it just may make it easier for us to forgive the other person rather than to descend to his or her level. You see, I think all this comes down to a decision to love even those who hold ideas we don't like. And what is love? Again, according to Paul in his first letter to the Corinthians, love is kind and patient, never jealous, boastful, proud, or rude. Love isn't selfish or quick-tempered. It doesn't keep a record of wrongs that others do. Love rejoices in truth, but not in evil. Love is always supportive, loyal, hopeful, and trusting. I'll tell you, if every supporter and every opponent of the president decided to treat the guy on the other side in a loving way, very few people would be called either un-American or racist. In our discussions, we can be more loving. And that's one thing we can do. And second, when discussing politics, I think we can follow the example left by Jesus in this story from Matthew. Jesus left and went to the territory near the cities of Tyre and Sidon. Suddenly a Canaanite woman from there came out shouting, "Lord and Son of David, have pity on me. My daughter is full of demons." Jesus did not say a word, but the woman kept following along and shouting. So his disciples came up and asked him, "Send her away." Jesus said, "I was sent only to the people of Israel. They are like a flock of lost sheep." The woman came closer. She knelt down and begged, "Please help me, Lord." Jesus replied, "It isn't right to take food away from the children and feed it to dogs." "Lord, that's true," the woman said, "but even dogs get the crumbs that fall from their owner's table." Jesus answered, "Dear woman, you really have a lot of faith, and you will be given what you want." At that moment, her daughter was healed. Now, I believe a lot is going on in this story. But as it relates to what we're talking about here, I think it's really important for us to remember that Jesus listened to this woman who was unquestionably outside the folks with whom he most closely associated and identified. I mean, he was open and he actually listened to what she said. And he was willing to expand his perspective based on what he heard. Now, that's what happened. And just imagine if we decided to listen and even explore the opinions of those who disagree with us. Even though more often than not, what they say isn't going to change our worldview. but it just might help us understand a perspective different than our own. And we could use that understanding to shape how we present our message. I mean, if we want to persuade a person to rethink their position, addressing their concerns and speaking in a way with which they can identify is going to be a whole lot more effective than standing there and calling them names. Now, it may impress the heck out of people who share our beliefs, and it may make us feel strong and in control, if that is bullies or strong and in control. But calling them a bunch of juvenile names is not going to win one single convert. For example, the guy that called me un-American, communist, baby-killing sodomite has not convinced me to change my vote in November. It may make him feel like a big man, but it hasn't changed me. You see, we can decide to listen, and that's the second thing we can do. Now, having written this, I must admit I'm feeling a little bit better, although I still miss my daughter something awful. As a matter of fact, I feel good enough to apologize to anyone who believes that I've attacked them like a child and called them a bunch of juvenile names, or that I attacked their integrity, honesty, or patriotism. If I've done that to anyone who's reading this or hearing this, I am sincerely sorry. And I promise to express my opinions in ways that are loving and kind, and to listen when I'm confronted with an opposing viewpoint. And I'll do that regardless of the response I receive. I think that's called turning the other cheek. Now, that's what I intend to do. And if more of us make the same decision, maybe political discussions in America will leave the swamp and be elevated to higher ground. Amen.